Welcome to Empowering Women, Transforming Lives with Rebecca Hall Gruyter. In our program each week, we provide the tools, ideas, and encouragement to help you move ahead on your journey, becoming a more powerful and impactful woman in your own life. Now here's your host, Rebecca Hall Gruyter.
Welcome, everyone. I hope that you're having an amazing day. Honored to be connecting in with you as we look at how do we continue to step forward and show up powerfully in our lives. As we are getting ready to transition into the fall season, how do we stay balanced? How do we continue to make a difference, move forward those things that matter most, be who we want to be? And what I've discovered is when we're able to be more of who we are, tap into those things that we believe in, that we are passionate about, that we tie in our energy and action behind those things, it's amazing the difference that we can make. We have two amazing guests today who have done that. They have gone on a journey. They have leaned in to bring forward things that matter most to them to really make a difference. I think you're going to enjoy all that they have to share today. But I want you to be able to get the most out of our time together as we're becoming present, open to receive, really taking in everything that's here for us today. Because there is something here for you today, and I know that because you tuned in on purpose. And I want you to be willing and open to receive everything that's here. So to do that, please choose to be present. Resist that urge to multitask and half listen. Really become present. Give yourself the gift of this time together for you to allow us to pour into you. It's a moment to be still, to take the doing hat off and to be able to receive. So as you just take that in, let's take a breath together in through the nose, all the way to your toes, out through your mouth like through a straw. And just keep taking those beautiful breaths. And as you do that, notice yourself becoming more and more present. Any stress or anxiety, just releasing those stress levels, cortisol levels, lowering as it's enough to be and to be here now and receive. And I invite you to close your eyes just for a moment. You're absolutely safe. And put both hands on your heart. And as you feel your heartbeat, I want you to feel in and see what is it that you need today. What is it that will support and empower you on your journey to make that difference, to be who and how you want to be, to bring forward those things that matter most to you, to take that center stage, to shine. What is it you need today? Real time that you are willing to receive because you have choice. So just feel in, even in between your heartbeats, and see what message is coming forth. What do you hear, feel, a knowing? What's coming up? Great. Let's receive that information. Then take a breath. Open your eyes, become fully present. And as you do so, I want to invite you to take a moment and write down what was laid on your heart, what it is that you need and are willing to receive. And let's make it our intention today, together to help move that forward for you. So be listening, leaning in with anticipation of something that you will discover, or in between what is shared will bubble up within you to help you move that forward. You don't have to figure out how. You just need to be willing to receive and see what unexpected way or unexpected thought or idea can actually help move that forward for you. So be open to discovering that and receiving. We're going to go around our virtual room here. And as we do, I'm going to invite each of our powerful guests to just take a moment, 10, 15 seconds, and just share what was laid on their heart. So with that, Eston, I would love for you to share what was on your heart.
What I need to do right now is to let go and be open to what others need to hear today from me.
Beautiful. I breathe that in, and thank you for embracing that. I love that. I'm just writing that down. And how beautiful is that, listeners, right now that we are tuning in to come together and serve and support you. I love that. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
And Ed, how about you? What was laid on your heart?
So when I listen to it, I have a passion for helping people achieve their potential. And what was on my heart is to stay true to that, deliver something that is just for the listening audience today.
Beautiful. I love that. Thank you. I love how we're all tuning in to really support our listeners. So listeners, I want you to feel that support, feel it coming, and energetically send those things that you need from us. We have this amazing collection of experts today leaning in to support you. So as we go to our first commercial break, I want you to receive that support, feel that intention that we are here for you. And as you take this time, 2 minutes during the commercial break, use that as time to support you, to stay present, to listen, to receive that support, feel it coming to you, and feel into what it is you need. We have an 800 number that happens every break. You can call in live, real time, get support. So I want you to feel all of us here leaning into you. Really take a moment, feel in and see what is it that you need. And if you're not quite ready to call in, it's okay. You can energetically send that to us and we'll do our best to hear that and tap into that. So enjoy these 2 minutes and we will look forward to our conversation coming up.
Become our friend on Facebook. Post your thoughts about our shows and network on our timeline. Visit facebook.com/Voice America.
Announcing a powerful new TV channel featuring programs designed to enhance and transform your life. Make powerful connections, one program at a time. And by doing so, we can bring transformation to the world. Tune in each week to Empowered Connections TV as we add new programs to help you make empowered connections of your own. Visit empoweredconnectionstv.com. That's empoweredconnectionstv.com. And make the most of an incredible life transformation.
Voice America programs are now available on your favorite connected device, including Amazon, Alexa, and Google Home. Through streams with Apple Podcasts, TuneIn, and iHeartRadio, listening to your favorite show is as easy as saying the show name followed by the word podcast.
Hey, Alexa, play Finding Your Frequency podcast.
If that doesn't work, try adding on TuneIn or on iHeartRadio or on Apple Podcasts.
Rebecca Hall Gruyter's Speaker Talent Search is looking for speakers wanting to get on more stages. With just one audition, you could open the doors to hundreds of speaking opportunities, reach more people, and expand your impact. Finalists get to audition live in front of leaders looking to fill all kinds of speaking opportunities. Apply now at speakertalentsearch.com. That's speakertalentsearch.com. We look forward to hearing your message.
It's your world. Motivate, change, succeed. VoiceAmericaEmpowerment.com.
You're listening to Empowering Women, Transforming Lives with your host, Rebecca Hall Gruyter. If you have a question or comment for Rebecca or her guest, we'd love to hear from you. Please call into the program at 1-888-346-9141. That's 1-888-346-9141. You may also send an email to Rebecca at yourpurposedrivenpractice.com. Now back to Empowering Women, Transforming Lives.
Welcome back, everyone. I hope you enjoyed that 2 minutes, that break just for you. And I want to invite you, as that's something that you can add to your toolbox throughout the day when you are standing in line unexpectedly, or a red light, or commercial breaks that are around you. Take them as a break and an opportunity for you. An opportunity to just breathe, be still for a moment and connect in with who you are, how you want to be, and then kind of move back into the day. So we've built those into the show through on purpose, by design, beautiful commercials to help you stay connected with things we feel will serve, but also an opportunity to have you mindfully and purposely take a moment to take in, process, receive, integrate those things that serve you, and release those things that no longer do. So be listening for those beautiful commercial moments. It is my honor and pleasure to introduce our first amazing guest, and you may have heard him on another place in Voice America. So I'm always excited when we have a fellow host on the show. So I'm excited to introduce Ed Chaney to you. He is an entrepreneur with over a dozen successful startups under his command. He has a passion for leadership, has spent over 20 years as an active member of EO, host of the Voice America podcast, the CBD Ed Show, and he's passionate about helping you tap fully into your potential and shine. Please lean in, warmly welcome the dynamic and powerful Ed Chaney to the show. Welcome.
That was wonderful, Rebecca. You have me smiling and maybe even blushing a bit.
Oh, I love it. I'm excited to have you smiling. So welcome.
Yes, I appreciate that. You know, Rebecca, my journey started with my mother during a fight of cancer. And while she was under a pretty heavy load of chemotherapy, is when I tried to enter, alternative medications for her. And cannabis showed up on the radar, and it wasn't the THC, it was the CBD. And to my surprise, with my mother living in West Virginia, she was just extremely concerned about what other people would think, how it would affect her. And so the research started back then. It was almost 8 years now. And I have a kind of a clinical brain, so I was able to pour through a lot of clinical studies. And I stumbled on a little-known system called our endocannabinoid system. It's all in all our bodies. And from that, the passion, it just fueled my passion to go in this direction. It has such a capability of bringing us to homeostasis, and that was the one place I wanted to go and share to the listeners on today's show, is how bringing your let's say your brain to homeostasis, how effective that can be, and you reaching your potential.
Beautiful. Well, I want to touch in on a couple of things here, just because we have audience members from around the world, all different levels of familiarity and not with CBD. And you shared how your mom had some concerns about what people would think, what it means, that kind of stuff. And I'd love for you to just share a little bit of how she came to feel really good about that, and how it may be some of the myths and truths about it, because I think there's a lot of misunderstandings.
Yes, there sure is. There definitely is a stigma behind cannabis. It was, it's been around for a long time, but mostly recreational until just recently. And so it's tied with recreation. It's tied with getting high. It's tied with our government's regulations around this plant. And so it's been a struggle to get the medicinal part out. And my mother was not any different. She was in the nursing community for 40 years, and she saw it that way. She saw cannabis as something would get her high, something her friends would not appreciate, her church may not appreciate it. And no matter the discussions I'd had with her that, CBD was different, it remained. That opinion remained. It was very difficult to dislodge it.
Mm-hmm. Oh, thank you for sharing. Oh, continue.
Well, the biggest helpful piece of information would be the cannabis line of plants is divided into two: the marijuana plant, which is more recreational, and then the hemp plant, which is more medical and industrial. The marijuana plant has a high level of THC. The hemp plant literally has almost zero THC in it. So it is that first common knowledge that helps, if somebody can accept that knowledge, it helps them then to see the value of products coming from the hemp plant.
And how they can be different than perhaps what they may be fearing or thinking, or the stigma that can be there, being able to differentiate. So that's great. And so if we're looking at CBD then and kind of that line, I know some of this ties into the homeostasis of the brain and some of the things that you're really trying to help people understand, again, that myth from the truth to really empower them. So do you mind sharing a little bit about that?
Why, certainly. And I've had a lot of practice teaching this, and I've gotten it to a very easily and digestible model. The system that the CBD interacts with is called your endocannabinoid system. Short is ECS, recently discovered. It was discovered in the 70s, but was not studied until 1990s. It's just starting to make its way into curriculum, the college level curriculum. So that's how new it is. Your ECS system is in all humans and manages all your bodily functions. Now, the three components that make up this system are your living cells, cannabinoids, which cannabinoids are little message carriers, and then receptors that are throughout your entire body, and they just activate functions by turning things on and off, and they literally are everywhere in your body. So if you think of a room full of humans, those humans would be the cells. And much like cells, they have the ability to sense their surrounding and transmit when there's something not quite right, like maybe the temperature is too high and everybody's getting hot. Well, cannabinoids are floating around the room, and they can hear those humans transmit their signaling. And so they go take that message, and they take it to a receptor. And let's say the receptor is the thermostat on the wall. And that thermostat, once triggered, once told what to do, simply turns something on or off. And in this case, turns the air conditioning on. If this system is working correctly, all the humans in the room are doing what they can, they're productive. Same with your body. If all your systems are working correctly, then your body can function at a much better level. We call this homeostasis. Now, that's not an uncommon term, but here is the driver behind it, is the ECS system working to its potential. And some uses, some examples would be in your brain. These receptors can activate and trigger the production of dopamine, serotonin, endorphins. So if you are lacking endocannabinoids in your body, if you're lacking these, you may not get enough of these hormones released in your brain. And that can affect things like cortisol levels.
Yep.
So that's the value. Now, in your body, some of the uses would be an immune response, like inflammation and pain. Those are all triggered by receptors, and cannabinoids can activate those receptors. Sleep is another function that's really common. If you're not getting enough sleep, we all know how that can impact your day. So getting the right amount of sleep is quite a complicated situation in your body. And having those cannabinoids turn things on and off when they're supposed to be turned, when they're supposed to be, is very helpful in getting a good night's sleep. So,
wonderful.
Again, another idea how homeostasis acts in your body.
And then how does this tie into how a CBD can be supportive of that? How do they tie together, or do they tie together?
That is a great question. The cannabis line of plants has an extremely tremendous amount of cannabinoids in it. And when you take these cannabinoids into your body, they will act exactly like the endocannabinoids your body will make on its own. So all you are doing is increasing significantly the amount of cannabinoids in your body, these little message carriers that know how to read the transmissions from your living cells and take that signal to the nearest receptor and turn it on or turn it off.
Great. Thank you for walking us through that and kind of helping us see how it interacts, how it connects, and hopefully helping people understand the difference between this line and the more recreational line, so to speak, that it gets confused with and can create some concerns with. So I really appreciate that. And our time is getting close. And so I'd love for you to share, do you have a final tip or something on your heart that you would love our listeners to know today?
I do. The simplicity of this model can be if CBD is something that becomes an interest, it does not have to be very much. It's not very expensive, and it is generally, in most places, very natural, as long as it was manufactured correctly, so plant-based. That the message is 15 milligrams per day is usually sufficient to get the brain into homeostasis so that it can produce those hormones when those hormones are needed and decrease the ones when those hormones aren't needed. So roughly about 15 milligrams per day, which is usually, and for some who are cost conscious, it's usually about $30 a month.
Mm-hmm. Great.
Okay.
No, thank you. I appreciate it. And are there any final indicators that it might be something that to explore or to look at? You talked a little bit about inflammation, about sleep, about cortisol, some of those types of things. But there are things that you find in particular, it might be something for people to consider or explore, in your opinion.
That's a very good question, and I'm very glad you asked. The two biggest indicators that I've seen over the years were sleep deficiencies and excess stress. When those two are abundant, the brain is definitely not in homeostasis. Hormones are not being released. Mechanisms for sleep are not being activated. So it's usually quite difficult. I liked your exercise, your being present exercise in the beginning. Mm-hmm. Meditations, those will help. But there's still a biological need to turn things on and off. In today's diet, producing our own endocannabinoids has been a little deficient as we've moved packaged foods and so forth. So those two would be the ones to look out for. If you have lack of sleep in your life or you have a high level of stress on a regular basis, you likely can solve that through taking some CBD on a daily basis and, of course, improving other things like diet and meditations and such.
Perfect. Well, thank you, Ed. I so appreciate you giving us some perspective on this area, because I do think it's a little bit controversial and there's a lot of myths and truths and misunderstandings. And I appreciate that you are standing in that place to really help empower people to have real information, to be able to discover what's right for them and give them some direction on that. So I appreciate your willingness to do that. And it's a way to, the more information we have, the more great direction we have, the more we can tap into those things that serve and support us so that we can shine and that we can step into those places that we're called to do in whatever way that may be. So I, again, appreciate your courage and your willingness to take that stand and to give people good information to consider in looking at support like this. So I appreciate that very much, Ed.
Thank you, Rebecca.
You're welcome. Well, we're getting ready to go to our next commercial break. And as we do that, I think it's really good to feel in, even whatever your thoughts are about CBD or not, or curious or not, we're going to let you know at the end of the show how you can discover more. But I think it's good to do a check-in and see are my stress levels high on a regular basis? Because that might be something to bring support in and add activities and things to help manage that, or make some shifts. Or I'm really having trouble sleeping, maybe looking at that a little bit more seriously, or I'm feeling inflamed. I think sometimes we just kind of continue on without really taking that as good information to listen to feel in and see how we might address things to help us come to that more balanced state and more powerful state, so we're able to move forward in the way we're called. So enjoy these next 2 minutes and just kind of see what's bubbling up. Do that check-in, and we'll continue our conversation in just 2 minutes.
Follow us on Twitter at VoiceAmericaTRN. Get the lowdown on guests, new shows, and your favorites. That's VoiceAmericaTRN.
Rebecca Hall Gruyter's Speaker Talent Search is looking for speakers wanting to get on more stages. With just one audition, you could open the doors to hundreds of speaking opportunities, reach more people, and expand your impact. Finalists get to audition live in front of leaders looking to fill all kinds of speaking opportunities. Apply now at SpeakerTalentSearch.com. That's SpeakerTalentSearch.com. We look forward to hearing your message. It's time to serve, learn, change the world. Tune in each week for the power of young people to change the world. Hosted by NYLC's CEO, Amy Mewers. The program is a forum for both young people and the adults who love and support them. We make connections with others through stories of change, partnership, and new perspectives of issues facing the world today. Be sure to join us every Thursday at 6 p.m. Eastern Time and 3 p.m. Pacific Time, or anytime on demand on the Voice America Empowerment Channel.
Announcing a powerful new TV channel featuring programs designed to enhance and transform your life. Make powerful connections, one program at a time. And by doing so, we can bring transformation to the world. Tune in each week to Empowered Connections TV as we add new programs to help you make empowered connections of your own. Visit EmpoweredConnectionsTV.com. That's EmpoweredConnectionsTV.com. And make the most of an incredible life transformation.
It's your world. Motivate, change, succeed. VoiceAmericaEmpowerment.com.
You're listening to Empowering Women, Transforming Lives with your host, Rebecca Hall Gruyter. If you have a question or comment for Rebecca or her guest, we'd love to hear from you. Please call into the program at 1-888-346-9141. That's 1-888-346-9141. You may also send an email to Rebecca at yourpurposedrivenpractice.com. Now back to Empowering Women, Transforming Lives.
Welcome back, everyone. I hope you enjoyed those 2 minutes just for you to kind of check in and develop some of that awareness. I know for myself, I lived in a very high stress kind of way, and I actually was prided myself on how little sleep I could get and move forward in. And I found over time it kind of wore on my body and my systems. And when I found ways to bring meditation and those pauses and different things into my life to help me sleep better and help me become more present, life became less stressful. And I was able to be highly productive, but not have that ongoing stress that I actually become normal for me. So I just thought anyone who's kind of checking in going, wow, I have a little more stress than I thought, or I am not sleeping, maybe I should look at that. I just want to encourage you to look into that and find things that are supportive and activities that are supportive of you, because we can create ways to have less stress in our life and to get better sleep. And that just makes everything better. So I'm so glad for some of those things that Ed gave us to check into. And we are continuing our conversation and really looking at how can we step forward and shine? How can we continue to take that center stage? And our next amazing guest has gone through some really, really difficult things and discovered how to process that and shine. So I know she has some amazing tips that she's going to be sharing with us. I'm excited to introduce her to you. Her name is S. Dawn Bradford. She goes by Dawn. She is a #1 international best-selling author, international public speaker, and entrepreneur. She has appeared on national and international podcasts, TV, and radio programs. She's run production for over 15 conferences, retreats, and events, a writing coach, accountant, and volunteer mentor for survivors of severe abuse. She is passionate about you stepping forward and shining no matter what. Please lean in and warmly welcome the powerful, dynamic, and heart-centered S. Dawn Bradford. Welcome!
Thank you. I am so excited to be here this morning, especially to talk about how other people can step into their own lives. So, yeah, I can't wait.
I'm so excited to have you here as well. My arms are up and raised as we welcome you to our virtual stage. So just thrilled to have you joining us. And for those who aren't familiar with you and with some of your journey and your story, and maybe haven't read your book and are just meeting you for the first time, I'd love for you to share a little bit of your story so they have that context for our conversation.
Yeah, so I had chronic illness for about 20 years, ended up in 2 years in a wheelchair, and I had to start really paying attention to my health. And as I overcame my health issues, I broke through amnesia that was hiding severe childhood abuse, including torture, ritual abuse, sex trafficking, and it was all hidden by amnesia. I used every avenue of healing I could find. I was open to whatever was right for me. And that included, a good trauma therapist, spiritual healing, meditation, alternative medicine, because I was determined to find complete healing of both my body and my mind. Along the way, I was diagnosed with dissociative identity disorder, previously known as multiple personality disorder. And I was able to learn to work with that and become highly successful and have just a joy-filled, amazing life.
Thank you for sharing. And I'm just giving everyone a moment to process that journey and just a highlight in there, because I know some of your story. Now, are you still in a wheelchair, and how is that side of things?
No, I have not used the wheelchair since 2015. I was told that I would be in and out of the wheelchair the rest of my life, and I haven't used it at all. In fact, I just this last week hiked 7 miles up a canyon. So complete physical healing.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing that too, because just so people have that understanding of you and some of your journey. But it took facing those things and those things that you'd even not remembered and processing them, getting support to come forward. And so as we reflect on that and some of your story, I don't know if there was a shifting point, a point where suddenly things started to shift, or a awareness that things shift. Was there a moment like that for you, or was it more gradual as you tried different things?
There's actually both.
Mm-hmm.
I had certain moments that shifted, but because the issues I had and the trauma I had was so severe, it took a series of those, and it took a gradual change as well. I had to start understanding how much influence the abuse had on my life and the abusers had on my life, and understand what was from that and what was me and how I could shed that influence. I had to get to the point that when memories surfaced, I had to go through the pain, the anger, and I had to really be honest with myself about how it had changed me at that time and how it still influenced my life 30 years later. I was furious at the beginning. You find out these things happen, you have massive anger. I spent 3 months just angry, but I didn't try to push it down. I found healthy ways to move through that anger, because there are unhealthy ways that we act out if we try to push that down. Then we're acting out that anger in ways that we can't control. And once I got through that anger, then the pain came, and I had to experience that and allow myself to feel it, as painful as each memory was, so that it could move out away from me. And once I moved past that pain and anger, then I could get underneath that to how those things changed me, because I couldn't see that at the beginning. And I had to see what I had taken from those things, how that changed my view of myself, my view of the world. And only then could I really move towards making those changes.
Powerful. Thank you for sharing. I appreciate that, and that courage to feel, to release, to remember, and to heal is truly, truly powerful. And having gone on such a journey that you've gone on, I know that you do a lot of work in helping people that have faced abuse in different levels, and particularly those who have faced severe abuse. And just as our listeners out there, maybe they have experienced abuse, or they know someone that has, or maybe someday we'll run across somebody that has. Do you have any thoughts or insights or tips that you'd like to share?
The hardest thing is watching someone else deal with the pain of abuse, and being on the outside and not knowing how to help them or what to do. And sometimes they're not ready, and you have to wait and love them and feed them little bits of truth. And they might not be ready. You can't force someone to be ready to start their own journey. It took me a long time until I was strong enough to be able to handle the kinds of things that were going to come up. My brain knew when I was ready and when I had the tools I needed to deal with it. And so sometimes being patient is really hard. When I work with people who are in abusive situations, I can't force them to leave the abuse. I can't force them to deal with what's happening. All I can do is give them little bits of truth, that what's happening isn't normal, that they are a good person, that they have help if they need it, that there are avenues that they can get. If they need to have some medications, whether that's an antidepressant or an anti-anxiety or CBD or whatever, to make those steps that will help them be strong enough to start coping with things. Sometimes you need that assistance to get started.
Yeah.
Talking about talk therapy, you just have to support them and love them unconditionally, even if they're in a place that you wish that they weren't. There's nothing you can do to rescue them. They have to be ready to rescue themselves, and then they need support when they're ready to do that.
Yes. But then that support that you're giving there is building that pathway when they are ready, that they can trust.
Yes.
Which I think is really, really powerful. So thank you for sharing. I appreciate that. And one of the things that I have seen and discovered is abuse is one of the things that causes us to be afraid, to shrink back, to shy away from the limelight, to not want to be there, to not feel worthy of being there. All kinds of different things come up from that. And yet one of the things we talk about on this show a lot is how to step forward, how to shine, how to do that. And when we talk about stepping forward and shining, we're talking about bringing the gift of you forward, the way you're made, the way you're designed, your gifts, your talents, that the world needs you. You're an original. We need you. You add to the fabric of life. And that's one of the biggest gifts that I believe we can give each other, is sharing ourselves in that way with the world and our uniqueness. And with that, and in the area that you the journey you've gone through, I have seen you step into that light just so beautifully and powerfully and help others do the same. And so I'd love for you to talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, it can be really daunting to even think about taking center stage of your own life. When you have that, I am not a good person, I'm unworthy, I don't want anyone to see me because it's dangerous. which when you've been abused, it's dangerous to be in that spotlight. And I did everything I could to make sure that I wasn't the star of my own life, basically, because I didn't want people to see me. That was dangerous. And I really didn't feel like I had anything to give the world. I truly believe that I was in such a dark place, and most people really didn't even know who I was. I would just stay on the shadows and just try to mimic what other people were doing who were standing in the light, and tried to be what they were. And I had to let go of that and realize not only did I have to heal, so I kind of pulled back, worked on my own healing journey, and then when I came forth, I had to come forward as myself and realize that I didn't need to be like anyone else. I didn't need to do what other people were doing. I needed to be true to who I was and what my message is and how I can help. And only then did I really get the power of that. And it took a little bit of time, and yet in some ways it feels like when it finally happened, there was a distinct line where I knew I am who I am. I am strong. I am powerful. I am empowered. And when that moment happened where I really leaned into that and accepted that about myself, everything changed, and I naturally took center stage. I naturally was there, and it was my concern for other people that allowed my message to connect without me even really trying. I thought it would be really hard, and it does require courage from time to time to step forward, but it's not as hard as I thought it would be. It really is, I care about others, and I am strong in who I am, and the way that I need to connect to people just comes naturally, and that's the power that comes with it.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing. I appreciate that, and I hope those listening, wherever you are in the journey in taking center stage, and I like how you're saying that center stage of your life, because it's not necessarily just on a physical stage. it's in your life, really showing up, really being present, really being who you are, and that it does take courage to keep stepping forward. But I like how it was in some ways easier than you thought, that it just kind of started to click into place when you did that within yourself and you were able to find that place, that it just moved into that much more naturally than you had expected. And there was an ease in the connecting with others. So I love that. And I like that reminder too, that there's still, it takes courage too, because there are times that you're, stepping into new places and those kinds of things. So I appreciate that. Now, as we reflect on our conversation, are there any final thoughts or shares on your heart that you want to give our listeners today?
Some of the things that can really help you understand how to move forward is to ask yourself some questions. Questions can be really powerful. And to do that, you need to take a little bit of time for yourself. Carve out some time in your busy life and just sit with yourself. Feel, do you carry a sadness? Are there things you do that don't make sense? Where do those come from? Start questioning who you are. Answer the question for yourself about what you want in your life and what is stopping you from getting what you want. Do you want to change? Is it worth the hard work to change? It's okay if you don't want to change, if you're happy with where you're at. If you want to go somewhere else, you want to have something different from your life, do you believe that you can get that? And are you willing to do the work to get what you want? And the final question that a lot of people don't really think about when they're taking that time with themselves is to take a moment for what you're grateful for. When you start looking at what you're grateful for, you also realize what you have, what you can build on, and that helps clarify where you want to go. You know what tools you have around you. If you're grateful for a relationship or a roof over your head, to understand that you have things that will help you move forward in your life. Beautiful. And those are just a few questions. There's lots of questions out there. Let those questions bubble up and take the time to sit with yourself and find out what your questions are, what you want, who you are. And sometimes it takes a little while, but you'll get there.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate your journey and your courage in sharing it and your willingness to share and to create opportunities for people to explore, to know that there is hope and they can take that center stage of their life as well. Now, I so appreciate you, the work that you do, and we are getting ready to go to our next commercial break. And what a perfect opportunity, listeners, to get curious, to explore some of those beautiful questions that Don has given us. So take a moment, explore, and we'll continue our conversation in 2 minutes.
Voice America is on your favorite smart speaker. If you have Alexa or Google Home, go ahead and give us a try.
Hey Alexa, play Finding Your Frequency podcast on TuneIn.
Announcing a powerful new TV channel featuring programs designed to enhance and transform your life. Make powerful connections, one program at a time. And by doing so, we can bring transformation to the world. Tune in each week to Empowered Connections TV as we add new programs to help you make empowered connections of your own. Visit empoweredconnectionstv.com. That's empoweredconnectionstv.com. And make the most of an incredible life transformation.
You need to live up to your full potential. You've heard that for years, but now there's a channel to help you get there. Introducing the Voice America Empowerment Channel. Our listeners have told us that they want to be motivated, hear about success stories, and positive encouragement around the clock. And we've responded to you. The Voice America Empowerment Channel is the home of the world's top life coaches, entrepreneurs, and success experts. Listen to the Voice America Empowerment Channel. It's here at voiceamericaempowerment.com.
Rebecca Hall Gruyter's Speaker Talent Search is looking for speakers wanting to get on more stages. With just one audition, you could open the doors to hundreds of speaking opportunities, reach more people, and expand your impact. Finalists get to audition live in front of leaders looking to fill all kinds of speaking opportunities. Apply now at speakertalentsearch.com. That's speakertalentsearch.com. We look forward to hearing your message.
Find out what makes the most successful people tick. Keep listening to the Voice America Empowerment Channel. voiceamericaempowerment.com.
You're listening to Empowering Women, Transforming Lives with your host, Rebecca Hall Gruyter. If you have a question or comment for Rebecca or her guest, we'd love to hear from you. Please call into the program at 1-888-346-9141. That's 1-888-346-9141. You may also send an email to Rebecca at yourpurposedrivenpractice.com. Now back to Empowering Women, Transforming Lives.
Welcome back, everyone. I hope you enjoyed those 2 minutes, an opportunity to get curious, or as Don would say, sit with yourself, get to know yourself a little bit more, discover some of who you are and maybe where you're wanting to go, what's underneath that, just taking time to kind of discover that about yourself, how powerful that is. One of the things I really want to give you today is an opportunity to connect with our guests. That I want to have you continue the conversation, continue the relationship that's starting here. It can go beyond this moment with each other. And so I hope you have your paper and your writing utensil, pen, pencil, crayon, marker, whatever it may be, ready to capture what they're about to share with you. They're going to share their contact information, and this is on purpose. This is sincere. If I can help you, or if you are looking for more information, here's the way to do it. This is part of how they're leaning in to support you. So with that, Ed, I'd love for you to share. What's the best way for people to connect in?
Sure. Well, in light of the lack of clinical studies for CBD and hemp-derived products, our CBDEdShow.org, that is the CBDEdShow.org. There's over 120 different clinical human situations that were reviewed and shared on that show, and you can go back and maybe find something that's relevant to you. I also want to encourage using Google Scholar as opposed to just generally Google when you're asking questions online about hemp or CBD. And then Cannafyl.com is our product website. That's CANNAFYL.com. And you can also reach me through there, or my email is ed@cannafyl.com. And I would like to give all our guests my direct contact at 480-200-5656. I've literally helped thousands of people, and specifically in this area, and I welcome all calls.
Oh, and thank you. Thank you so much for your generosity, for the information that you're bringing forward, and that accessibility, that opportunity for them to lean in and connect directly. I appreciate it. And Dawn, I'd love for you, what's the best way for people to connect in with you? Any resources, anything you'd like to let them know about?
Yeah, the best place that you can get all the information, including links to purchase my books, things like that, is on my website. My website is www.dawn, D-A-W-N, Bradford, BRADFORD.com. And I've got 2 books out currently, Broken No More, A True Story of Abuse, Amnesia, and Finding God's Love, as well as an anthology, Step Into Your Brilliant Purpose. If you would like a free copy of the chapter that I contributed to Step Into Your Brilliant Purpose, I am offering that to all of your listeners for free. I have that either on PDF or on Audible. And if they email me either through my website or at dawnbradford@gmail.com and put in the subject line free download, just let me know if you want the PDF or Audible, and I will send that out to them. And you can find me also on social media. All my social media handles are the same. It's at @dawnbradford. I'm most often on Facebook.
Perfect. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. And I'm excited you're sharing your powerful chapter in multiple formats so people can choose their favorite way to hear. What a great gift. So thank you for making that available and giving a way for people to reach out, connect, and go deeper. I appreciate that. And listeners, I want to encourage you to take some time today at the end of the show, before you rush off into the busyness of the day, to sit with yourself, to explore some of those things that have been laid on your heart. Perhaps at the beginning of the show, as you were feeling in and looking at what was laid on your heart, perhaps something's bubbled up during the show. Give yourself a moment to just kind of process that. Breathe in what serves, release what no longer does. Because you are a gift. You're absolutely needed in this world. And we want to encourage you and empower you to be willing to bloom where you're planted, to share and shine your gifts out in the world. So one of the things I wanted to encourage you to do, in addition to the beautiful resources that Ed and Dawn have made available to you, I wanted to share a program that we have. We recently released it. It started in June, so mid-June. It's called the Ask Rebecca Show. And we find sometimes people are a little bit shy to call in and ask their questions. So we wanted to create another platform where you could ask your questions. So if there's a question that's bubbling up that we can help with, simply go to askrebeccaAquestion.com. askrebeccaAquestion.com. And we'll be happy to review your question and answer. We're going to be answering them on air, sometimes during our show here. Other times it'll be on our YouTube channel where you can find our show. You can directly go to it, the askrebeccashow.com, to see answers to some of the frequently asked questions to support you on your journey. So keep sharing the gift of you, keep leaning in, take those moments and pauses just for you, and remember to keep taking steps to bloom where you're planted and shine. Have a great week, everyone. I'll talk to you next time.
Thank you for joining us this week for Empowering Women, Transforming Lives. Please tune in again for another edition with your host, Rebecca Hall Gruyter, next Thursday at 1 p.m. Eastern Time, 10 a.m. Pacific, on the Voice America Empowerment Channel, with a replay on Sunday at 4 p.m. Eastern and 1 p.m. Pacific on the Voice America Variety Channel. Have a beautiful week, and may you always bloom where you're planted and shine.